So anyhow, let us start this cannabinoids. The second type of drugs are the cannabinoids. Pen is not writing. Better you come for offline classes. It is always better. Nothing to worry. After completion of syllabus, you can stay at home.
Yes, sir, we'll try to.
That is better. Every day, this is the problem with this. Virus is there, but they have to. It is not at all responding. So far we have completed almost 6 units. How is your preparation regarding all these 6 units, all of you?
Yes, sir, we are reading lesson topics and I will start revision on the keyboard topics.
Okay. As and when the topic is completed, better you complete in the evening.
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, should we start IP preparation from now onwards, sir?
IP preparation.
Because we got the materials.
IP exams also we should conduct. I have prepared the list of questions also. Not all, like meritorious people, toppers in the class. You should read everything. In every word, single word also you should give importance. Toppers. But this is I don't know the evaluation of the papers, IP papers about you as far as you is concerned. So that's why when we conduct IP examinations, after evaluation, I will come to know the presentation of topics on the answer paper. So I am waiting for that. Let us see. Okay, it is responding. And 2 cannabinoids. Anyhow, I will take another one. Better.
Okay.
Better because this is not responding properly. Green board I will do that. So it everything has gone. Okay, so let us start the second type of drugs.
Sir, the screen is not visible, sir.
Not visible. 1 minute. Now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, na? Okay.
Yes.
So, cannabinoids. Second type of drugs are cannabinoids. First type opioids yesterday. Receptors of opioids present in the brain, central nervous system and gastrointestinal tract. But for cannabinoids, receptors present in the brain only. Here you have to see that the cannabinoids are alkaloids obtained from, these alkaloids obtained from, which plant? Obtained from Cannabis sativa. This is the scientific name of ganja mokka, ganja plant. Scientific name of ganja plant is Cannabis sativa. So which parts of this flowering plant are used for the preparation of nearly 4 types of drugs are prepared from this plant, Famous flowering plant in the agency. Agency means in Visakhapatnam, Araku Valley. For example, if you go to Srikakulam district, Seethamapeta. Seethamapeta is a agency area. ITDA project is the Integrated Tribal Development Authority is there. Here in Visakhapatnam, Paderu headquarters, Integrated Development Authorities. For Turpu Godavari, East Godavari district, Rampachodavaram is famous forest area. Maredmalli towards Bhadrachalam. So there this is very famous. This flowering plant is very famous. Alkaloids obtained from Cannabis sativa. Flower tops. What are the parts of the plant which are used for the preparation of these drugs? Flower tops means inflorescences, leaves, and there is one chemical that is produced is called resin. These 3 are used for the preparation of the drugs. What are the drugs? Actually, the receptors, cannabinoid receptors present on brain. Receptors occur in brain. Not all central nervous system, only brain. Should be underlined. And the second point also should be underlined. All underlined points are very, very important because this is the botanical name of the plant. And receptors occur in the brain. And fourthly, what are the drugs derived from this plant? Let us see. Drugs of this plant are hashish. Hashish means bhang. Already in the beginning itself I wrote this. In rituals, holy festivals, etc. It is used by North Indians. Hashish, khera, marijuana. These are the drugs derived from this plant. And the famous name ganja. Ganjai in Telugu, ganja. Even ganja is also used in the preparation of beer making industries and wine making, this alcohol making industries also. Ganja, it gives intoxication. That's why they use. Of course, little quantity they use. 0.5% only they use. Like that, more than excess doses if it is there, definitely it leads to the failure of nervous system, because brain is a most center of the nervous system, important chief center of the nervous system is the brain. So that neurons will be broken and totally damaged. So when the neurons once burnt, they will not be regenerated. You all know about this. In the tissues also I told you about this. Only nervous tissue, only nerve cells which can divide are neuroglial cells, but not neurons. Neurons only in the embryonic condition they divide. In the adults, cell division is stopped. But in the neuroglial cells, the cell division occurs throughout the life. That is the difference between neurons and neuroglial cells. Already I told you. So drugs, hashish, also called bhang, khera, marijuana and ganja are the 4 types of drugs, products of these cannabinoids. Very, very important point, 4th one. Why? Because this is given in the one of the following is not a product of cannabis, like that the bit is given. So heroin, morphine, other drugs also added. Besides giving, out of 4, 3 will be given: hashish, khera, marijuana, and some heroin or morphine will be given. So your answer must be morphine. That is the odd man out regarding the Cannabis sativa. So pick out the odd man out. Bit also like that they will give. Directly may not be asked, sometimes indirectly also it is question is given. So in such a case you have to think for a while and then go for option. So This is the fourth one. And the mode of abuse. What is the mode of abuse, you know? Ingestion means taking through mouth. Mode of abuse, ingestion or injection. Ingestion or injection. These two. So these two are the mode of abuse as far as this is concerned. Cannabinoids. And they affect the cardiovascular systems. They show their effect on cardiovascular systems, means heart and blood vascular system is affected because in the brain medulla is affected. So medulla is a chief center for breathing and heartbeats. So that's why cardiovascular system is damaged. That is the ill effects caused by the cannabinoids. And cannabinoids are also used by sports persons by doping. Used by sports persons by doping. Doping means, what is doping I will tell you. Snorting, yesterday I told you. Snorting means the powder, heroin, brown sugar powder is kept on this wrist part, and they inhale like this. Forcible inhalation. That is called snorting. But this is also kept on this above the palm, and they do like this. They do like this. By action I am showing. So that is called doping. So these are the 7 points regarding the cannabinoids. This is also another 4 marks question. So so far how many 4 marks questions as far as TDA is concerned we have discussed? First 2 4 marks question is tobacco. Second 4 marks question is opioids. Third 4 marks question is for cannabinoids. And fourth 4 marks question is cocoids. This is the 7 4 marks questions are there. If you go through the question bank, you can find these 4 marks questions. Cocoids, last and final drugs are the cocoids. So cocoid is obtained from Erythroxylum coca. Erythroxylum coca. It is a native of South America. This is most important. Not India. Native of South America. Okay? And the drug obtained from this is coke. From this is coke. Receptors found in the nervous system. Receptors occur in nervous system. They cause sense of euphoria. They cause, if this coke is taken, coke is the product. Coke is also called crack. Smack, distinguish between smack and crack. 2 marks question also there. So this is there, you can see in the 2 marks question. In this 4 marks question again, 1 2 marks question is also there. And heroin also called smack. Distinguish between smack and crack. That is a 2 marks question is there. You see that. And on nicotine also 2 marks question is there. What is the effect of tobacco on respiratory system? Name the alkaloid present in that tobacco. That is the another 2 marks question. So like that, from these questions you can also chalk out the 2 marks questions, 4 marks questions also. Receptors occur in CNS. They are taken by snorting. This is also snorting. These drugs interfere with the CNS, interfere with the dopamine, neurotransmitter, dopamine. Interfere with dopamine. Dopamine is one of the neurotransmitting substances. Already I told you about the neurotransmission regarding synapse. Through synapse means, what is synapse? A junction between 2 neurons is called synapse. That is also 2 marks question in the animal tissues. So that synapse through which the nerve impulse travels, that's why it is called synaptic transmission of nerve impulse. Hence, drugs interfere with the neurotransmitting substance dopamine, which causes a sense of euphoria. Sense of euphoria means some kind of tranquility, some kind of comfort. We can say that it is haiga undantam kada. That is called sense of euphoria. That term is used only in the coke. Sense of euphoria. Coke means Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is prepared using this Coke. That's why majority foreigners prefer Coke while they take the liquor. So sense of euphoria. And overdoses causes hallucination. Overdoses cause hallucination. Hallucination means illusion. Causes hallucination. So this is the last line in that under the cocoids. So these points right under the cocoids. Like that 4 marks questions, 3 4 marks questions. All the 3 drugs are 4 marks questions. Opioids, cannabinoids and cocoids. Now other plants which produce these drugs, let us take these other plants. The Atropa belladonna and Datura. Atropa belladonna. The belladonna is a homeo drug also that is prepared from this plant. Atropa belladonna and Datura are the other plants from which the hallucinogenic drugs are produced. Hallucinogenic drugs. Hallucinogenic drugs are produced. So for mental illness like depression and insomnia are produced. So this is also given for 2 marks question. Write the other drugs which cure the mental illnesses like depression and insomnia. Mental illness, okay, like depression and insomnia. Of course, that mini paragraph if you see, the last line you read out. Mental illness like depression and insomnia can be cured. Psychological treatments also can be cured by the following drugs. By the following drugs. What are those following drugs? This is important matching question also in the NEET paper. By the following drugs. What are those following drugs? One by one let us give. Barbiturates. Barbiturates also called sleeping pills. So until and unless you take the prescription from doctor, no medical shop owners, they will give this sleeping pills. Sleeping pills, some people, insomnia means sleeplessness. So some people do not have sleep. They always try to take sleep in the night time after 10 o'clock. They sleep by 10 o'clock, try to sleep by 10 o'clock, but after 2 o'clock or something like that, in the early hours of the day, they get sleep. So in such a case, these barbiturates are suggested by doctors. They are sleeping pills. So that's why I have mentioned mental illness like depression and insomnia can be cured by following drugs. Of course, this seems very difficult to remember, but in the syllabus it is there. You have to prepare. Barbiturate sleeping pills and amphetamines. Amphetamines are sleepless. Some people feel always drowsiness, always intoxication, always sleepy. They feel sleepiness throughout the day. Even in the class also they go for sleeping. So such a oversleeping is also there, some people. Those people must be used, they use these amphetamines. Amphetamines are helpful in the sleepless condition. So these are the sleepless drugs. These are sleeping pills. And see, benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines generally the people who suffer from migraines. Migraines means side headache. Very severe headache which will come. And sinus. These problems to be cured by these benzodiazepines because they produce some tranquility. So that's why these are called tranquilizers. These are called tranquilizers. Benzodiazepines are the tranquilizers, barbiturates are the sleeping pills, amphetamines are the sleepless pills, and lastly LSD. LSD stands for lysergic acid diethylamide. Diethylamide. Full form. LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide is the full form. For the abbreviation, for this expansion, there is no relation at all. So Last one only related diethylamide. LS stands for lysergic acid. So that's why LSD is equal to lysergic acid diethylamide. These four are always important for matching type question. Very, very important for matching type question in the NEET also. Because I already told you this chapter TDA and our total biology and human welfare, other diseases and words, as it is from NCERT, it is there. So that's why don't ignore this thing. And now let us take the adolescents. Another 4 marks question. Write about the adolescents. Adolescents is a vulnerable phase. Adolescence is a vulnerable phase. Discuss. That is the question. If you see the question bank, it is there. Another 4 marks question. This is 5th 4 marks question. First 4 marks question, write notes on tobacco and effects of tobacco. And second 4 marks question is opioids. Third, cannabinoids. Fourth, cocaines. Fifth, adolescents. Write notes on adolescents. Adolescents means youngsters. Simply, you can write down the meaning of adolescents or youngsters. It is the age group between 12 years and 18 years. Already I have mentioned. These points like this you have to write down. Between 12 to 18 years. You remember this. Between 12 to 18 years must remember. So also it is a bridge between, like this also you can write down. Bridge between puberty and adulthood. Puberty means maturity and adulthood. And also link between childhood and adulthood. Link between childhood and adulthood. So many definitions are there. Adulthood. Or you can also say the ending of childhood. The ending of childhood and beginning of adulthood. And beginning of adulthood is also adolescence. Beginning of adulthood. Also called adolescence. See how it is. Number of definitions. That is the adolescence. Adolescence is a vulnerable phase because all bad habits will be habituated. So that's why it is in a vulnerable phase. So the period of, this is a period, the period in which the process of maturation occurs. This is most important. Process of maturity occurs. So on reaching puberty only, we are able to produce germ cells. What are the germ cells? Sperms and eggs. So are you following, all of you? You are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The period in which the process of maturity occurs. So this is a very important point. And also the period in which the biological and behavioral changes occurs. This is most important. In which biological and behavioral changes occur. And behavioral changes occur. So behavioral patterns also different in the adolescence from person to person. Some people are hyper, some people are very dull, some people are via media. Like that. So the period in which biological and behavioral changes occurs. Biological changes means, suppose for example, if you are males, broadening of shoulder, change of voice to masculine voice, and puberty, that is formation of hair on the mustache, that is formation of hair in the beard, formation of hair on the chest, formation of axial hair, pubic hair. All these changes are biological changes. Behavioral changes, just now I told you, aggressiveness, mentally dull, mentally active, overactive, medium, like that. These are all behavioral changes. So the period in which biological and behavioral changes occur is also called, what is that? Adolescence. So adolescence is a vulnerable phase. That is the question actually. Adolescence is a vulnerable phase. Vulnerable means prone to bad habits. Adolescence is a vulnerable phase. Should underline this point. Yesterday, vicious circle I mentioned means worst circle, bad circle. So, adolescence is a vulnerable phase which leads to the attraction towards bad habits. Especially, you need not write down bad habits. Towards TDA, you simply mention TDA, tobacco, drug, alcohol, abuse. That is why it is a vulnerable phase. Adolescence is a vulnerable phase because this phase is actually leads to the attraction of the youngsters towards the TDA. And also, let us continue this adolescence, ninth point. So, the youngsters, generally adolescents, we can use this term youngsters, teenage group. All teenage people are youngsters, both girls and boys. So youngsters, they are very curious to attract towards TDA. When you write TDA, always you should put capital letters, TDA. And also their the desire, they have the desire, for adventurous things. They always go for these adventures. Desire for adventures also, crimes also, adventures and even crimes also. And they start the TDA with experimentation. TDA with the experimentation. First they do experimentation. What is their friend requested? Let us start smoking. Like that they think. They start with experimentation. But gradually, later they are addicted. So these things, these points must be written for the adolescence. So gradually excess doses, suppose later they are addicted. Addiction leads to dependence. Dependence means repeatedly they use the TDA. Means tobacco, drug, alcohol, abuse. Repeatedly. That is dependence. When once you are addicted, definitely it is a forerunner of addiction. When repeatedly if any drug is taken, it is a forerunner of addiction. So the next question is addiction and dependence. Next 4 marks question. Write notes on addiction and dependence. This is dry subject. At the same time very interesting for youth. It is a topic for youth. Don't divert your behavioral patterns towards these bad habits. For that purpose only it is introduced in our curriculum. So addiction and dependence. Addiction and dependence also 4 marks question. Another 4 marks question. So in this first point is we start the youngsters. Again you start with youngsters only. Youngsters and adults, whatever may be. Start this as an experiment. Again you use this term, experiment. So later on, experiment with small doses. This is an important point. So in the beginning nobody take large doses, small doses, either drug or alcohol or whatever it is. If it is a cigarette smoke, only 1 cigarette they go for, even half cigarette sometimes, and even 1 puff only. 1 puff only they take from the friend. That's all. But later on it is quite interesting. Attraction is there. So that's why with small doses. Later they increase the doses. So they increase the doses. When they increase the doses, what happens, that dose you must take. Otherwise, our brain receptors won't accept. First of all, our brain receptors also addicted to smaller doses. But later on, you are increasing the doses of taking alcohol, liquor, etc., especially alcohol. Then definitely it leads to the reception of brain and central nervous system receptors. They wanted, always they require more doses, still more doses. Then only they will respond. Previously, for smaller doses, they give response. But you are going to increase the doses daily. So then, until and unless you take that dose, it will not respond. So that's why later they increase the doses. So increased doses of TDA, this third point is most important. Increased doses of TDA is a forerunner of addiction. Forerunner of addiction means when once enter into addiction, nobody can save. Even God cannot come to our rescue. Addiction is very dangerous. Addiction must be good habits, towards good habits. It should not be towards bad habits. We cannot come out. So, increased doses of TDA is a forerunner of addiction. So, if the doses decrease suddenly, the receptors in CNS do not respond. In CNS do not respond. So, the receptors require larger doses. Like this, addiction and dependence, you must write down larger doses. So, very dangerous situation. One should not enter into that vicious circle. And once entered, definitely this is a problem, addiction. It can be controlled by counseling. We can educate them, we can counsel them. There are so many rehabilitation centers. In Visakhapatnam also, Jilla Parishad Junction, there is a rehabilitation center. If you take them, they will do everything. So, if the doses decrease, the receptors in CNS do not respond. Receptors require larger doses. And dependence. This is addiction. Let us take the dependence. Next heading. So, when once you stop this suddenly, when once you stop taking TDA suddenly, this is the class. This class you must carefully write down. Then only dependence meaning you can understand. When once you stop taking TDA suddenly, what happens, the person develop side effects. She shows side effects. So till the doses are restored, till the doses are again restored, you have to take it again. Slowly you have to stop. Suddenly you should not stop. Already addicted. If you stop suddenly, this thing happens. Side effects. So this is called withdrawal syndrome. This is called, and because withdrawal of bad habits. So that's why this is called withdrawal syndrome. Withdrawal syndrome must be underlined. Withdrawal syndrome. Syndrome means abnormality. The meaning of syndrome means abnormality. Withdrawal means forbidden the habits. So now let us go to the next point. So what are the symptoms, Withdrawal syndrome symptoms. Symptoms of withdrawal syndrome. This is always given in the statements questions. most important. Symptoms of withdrawal syndrome is very, very important for NEET regarding statement type questions. So what are the symptoms of withdrawal syndrome, you know? First one, anxiety of taking doses, of taking TDA, anxiety. Stopped suddenly. Again the mind is always thinking about those, that's why anxiety. And secondly, shakiness. Shakiness means tremors, body shivering. That is shakiness or shivering, shivering of body. You know, and nausea means vomiting sensation, reeling of head. Head బుర్ర తిరుగుతుంది అంటాం కదా, the reeling of head, nausea, and sweating. Over sweating occurs. So these are the symptoms of withdrawal syndrome. If we restore the taking drugs, all those symptoms will be stopped. If you restore them, restore the TDA slowly, the symptoms, withdrawal symptoms disappear. So that's why we should not stop suddenly. So these points you must return. For addiction 4 points, for dependence 4 points. This is most important. Third point is most important for all purposes. Okay? Tomorrow, effects of TDA. Effects of TDA on our body, and of course I wanted to complete today, but this panel not proceeding is not cooperating. So that's why. Okay, dear students, I can stop today. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Bye.